Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment on the Weekend Show brought to you by Holocrunch Popcorn. Like I stated in my introduction, how many Nigerians actually pay their taxes? What do we know about taxes? We say we want good infrastructure, but how are we contributing? And also, what benefits do we stand to gain by paying our taxes? Having this conversation with me, I will be speaking to Amina Ado, who is the Director, Emerging and Special Tax Department in the Federal Inland Revenue Service, with responsibility for stamp duty, electronic money transfer levy, development of new revenue streams, and improving existing ones. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. I noticed in the last couple of years, the FIRS has been doing a lot to inform the public about paying their taxes. And also with the signing of the Finance Act of 2020, a lot of Nigerians also learned that you could also get benefits from paying your taxes. And so on the Weekend Show, we figured out that it's extremely important for Nigerians generally to know what this is all about. And so we'll be talking about taxes. Tell us about why taxes and the situation in Nigeria as it is right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Like I said, it's a pleasure to be here. A tax is actually a contribution to government revenue that is imposed on either a worker's income or business profits, which is personal income tax or company income tax in the case of companies, or on added to the cost of goods or services, which is like value-added tax, and then or added to transactions, which is the stamp duties. And again, of course, there is the capital gains tax. So this is a contribution to government revenue that is imposed by government. Now, why does government do this? Is to be able to have the money to provide the services that you and I cannot provide for ourselves. We cannot have our own personal police, or our own personal military, or our own personally built road from Kano to Lagos, for example. So government has to do that. If you are traveling, you need an international passport. You must have an identity, a nation state that says you are from there. Otherwise, I'm sure some of our viewers have watched Games of Thrones. Yeah, many yes. Recently or in the past.
You like Game of Thrones.
And they have seen the chaos that happens when you don't have a government.
Yes.
So this morning, you drove on a government-built road. Nobody stopped you on the road to take your car from you. If that happens, the police are there. If you put money in the bank, you expect to go back to the bank and take your money. Your property is protected. If the bank refuses to give you your money, you can go to the court. Who is going to pay the judges, the military, the police? It has to be the central government. And this government has to be funded. So this is why taxes are levied. So when we pay these taxes, we ensure we have safety, security, because there is safety, there is security, safety in terms of your health and so on. You also get to be educated in state-funded, government-funded schools. You get national pride if you travel abroad and you say you are a Nigerian. All comes because your government is able to afford to give you that protection, to give you that comfort. So if we don't pay our taxes, life is going to be actually nasty, brutish, and short. So if we want good quality life, if we want joyful life, we have to pay our taxes. And that's why I said there is joy actually in paying taxes. Because when you pay your taxes, you discharge your civic responsibility. You also contribute to nation building. You contribute to the possibility of you actually enjoying life. Because if you don't pay taxes and the government doesn't have the money to give all these services that I've mentioned, life then becomes unbearable.
I think it's interesting that you see there's joy in paying taxes and nation building. Something I've always wondered is, yes, we do put a lot of responsibility on government, but how are we contributing? Because we can't always place the blame. What's the percentage of the Nigerian workforce that actually pays taxes? Do you have an idea about that?
Well, you know, taxes are paid to individuals, paid to the state government, while corporations, so company income tax is paid centrally to the federation, which is then collected by the FIRS, where I work. Now, every state and FCT have their own revenue service where you pay your personal income tax. Now, when you buy goods or when you get a service, you pay, there's also a value-added tax, which again is centrally collected for the Federation on behalf of and shared at the federal, at FAC, which Nigerians are all familiar with. Every month they meet and they share this money. So I cannot say from the top of my head what percentage, but what I can tell you is that our tax to GDP, that is the total tax we collect, irrespective of how many people are paying, is just too small. It's one of the, we are bottom 5 in the world actually, you know, at less than 10%. So for example, yesterday, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics released the GDP figures, yeah? And our GDP nominal is about 180 trillion thereabouts, but we are collecting taxes of less than 18 trillion. That's less than 10%. So of all the value added in the economy, what goes to government to fund all these services I've mentioned is less than 10% of all the activity in the economy, and that's extremely low, bottom 5 in the world. So that is not good. It means a lot of us are not paying taxes, and even those that are paying are probably paying lower than they should. And our taxes are not that onerous actually, because when you look at personal income tax, if you are on a minimum wage, that's 30,000 or less, you don't pay anything. Okay. And then even if you are earning a lot of money, the highest rate is 24%. It starts at 7% for the first 300,000, and then at if you earn more than 3.2 million, anything above 3.2 million, you pay 24%. Yeah. But when you aggregate everything, the effective rate for anybody is not more than 19.2%. So if you earn, for example, hypothetically 10 million a year, it means you will not pay more than 1.92 million as tax for the whole year. So it's not onerous, but a lot of us are not paying because the tax to GDP is actually just too low to fund all these services that we want.
Okay, so many questions, but I want to come to what is the FIRS doing, but let me ask some more questions before we get to that. Entrepreneurship, a lot of Nigerians are graduating from university. Even the president has said you can't expect to all have government jobs anymore, so you need to find what to do. And the private sector is picking up, but the entrepreneurial space is picking up massively. And so there are a lot of young people who will actually pay their taxes, but they don't know the process. And so what's the process for an individual who has just started maybe a makeup business or a catering business, and the person wants to run the company, and or maybe is doing this as an individual, but also wants to be tax compliant? How are they accommodated within the system?
Yes, they are accommodated. Now, let's talk about if the individual incorporates a business. Yeah. Now, if you incorporate a business with Corporate Affairs Commission, you will get a certificate, and your tax identification number is already on it. So once you get that, you visit your nearest office in every state of the Federation. We have 190 plus offices across the country. So you can visit any office and just get yourself registered on our taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. So that is our online portal where you can do everything. Once you go visit once and get onboarded, you don't need to go anymore again. You will do everything online. So this speaks to our young people who are tech savvy. They can do everything online now. Now, if your business is turnover, that means the sales you do every month at the end of the year aggregate is not up to 25 million, then you don't need to pay any tax. Your rate is 0%, but you will file. When we say file, it means you will submit your annual accounts, you provide as your capital allowance calculations, and so on and so forth. You put it online there on the Tax Pro Max portal, and but you will not pay any tax. Your rate is 0%, yeah?
So is this going to be long term? Because I know this also came up as a result of the Finance Act of 2020. So is this really long term?
No, it's long term. That's the law. It's not, you know, the finance bill that it goes with the budget. It's an annual process just to improve the tax law. So we're not going to change it next year, for example. This is what it is today. Yes. If you are a business is less than doing turnover 25 million less, zero company income tax. And also, if it's doing less than 25 million in turnover, zero VAT. Yeah, but you still file online the company income tax returns, so that we are sure that you actually, you know, are within that threshold. And then, if you are with above 25, but less than 100 million, your tax rate is 20%, and that rate is on profit. That means your sales minus all your expenses, and that's your profit, and that's what you pay tax on, not the turnover. VAT is the one that is charged on turnover. Now, if you are, of course, so successful that you are above, you are 100 million and above, then your rate of company income tax is 30%. Now, for VAT, is 7.5%. But if your business is doing turnover of less than 25 million, you don't need to file VAT or charge your customers VAT. So that is to support small and medium enterprises, and as small enterprises and micro. And this is the global best practice, because VAT is actually filing it can be a bit cumbersome for very small businesses, and it creates all sorts of problems. But once you are 25 million and above, you have to actually charge VAT, file your returns by the latest 21st of the following month. So for example, for this, what sales you do in August, before 21st of September, you will file your VAT and pay the 7.5 file and remit what is due. And for VAT, if you have paid as a company, if you have paid VAT for some of your eligible supplies, you will deduct from what you are remitting. But let's not get bogged down with all that. But if you are a small business, less than 25 million, the VAT burden is removed from you. And so these are some of the things that entrepreneurs need to understand. And everything can be done online. So you don't actually, once you get onboarded, that's it. You file everything online. There is a helpline. There is an email you can send if you have a problem, taxpromax@frs.gov.ng, if you have any problem on that portal when filing your returns.
Okay, so let's talk about diaspora remittances, and it's in two forms. There are a lot of, because of the COVID pandemic, a lot of people started doing virtual work, and so you have people in Nigeria who are working for companies outside the country, and so there's some form of remittance going on. Do they get taxed over there and here? That's one bit. And then secondly, when people travel and return to the country, you buy items abroad and you pay taxes there. When you come to Nigeria, I've seen on certain occasions at the airports where customs stop you and say for certain items you have to pay duties on it. Can you speak to that? So people, diaspora earners, and when people return to the country.
Okay. Well, you are talking of remote workers, not diaspora, because diaspora means you are abroad actually working, and you are earning money and sending to your relatives into Nigeria. But now, because of the possibilities that technology has opened, you can be sitting in Nigeria and be doing remote work. Of course, you file what is called your own self-assessment as a payee. I mean, as a personal income tax. Payee is when your employer deducts and remits to the government. Now, if you are working remotely but resident in Nigeria, you have to pay your own personal income tax through the self-assessment process. And that means by the 31st of March of every year, you will file your returns as a self-employed person, because you are in Nigeria working remotely for a company abroad, so it's deemed you are self-employed within Nigeria because the company is not in Nigeria. It's you know, abroad, anywhere in the world. You could even be doing temporary. You work for one company 1 month, the next month you do for another. So you will do your own self-assessment. You file it in the state you are residing, using this formula I have said from 7% minimum 7%, your first 300,000 naira. If it's dollars you are receiving, you convert to naira at the official rate, and then you charge 7% for the first 300, and like that. And anything above 3.2 million naira, the rate is 24%. If you go to the website of any of the state revenue services, you will see how you will do your self-assessment, how you calculate, how the forms you need to fill. So you are not exempt from tax simply because you are doing remote work resident in Nigeria. Usually the company abroad will take whatever it wants to take, but in Nigeria you have to file your self-assessment. Now, if the company there says it has taken a tax and remitted to the government out there, if we have what is called a double taxation treaty with them, then there are certain issues. But you are resident in Nigeria, which means your primary place for paying taxes is Nigeria. It's not that country. Because the idea, just like I have explained, of paying a tax is to pay your way. You are living in Nigeria, enjoying the security of Nigeria, enjoying the roads. You have to participate, you have to pay. So that is the way it works. As far as the personal income tax of people who are doing remote work is concerned. Now, if you travel and you come and customs, because this is customs, FIRS and customs administer VAT. FIRS does the non-import VAT, that's value-added tax, while the customs do the import-related VAT, and they also do custom duty and excise. So if you come and at the point of entrance, whether airport or the border between Nigeria and other neighboring countries, you are asked to pay either more customs or more VAT. You have to pay it, because remember, you know, I recall if you travel in some countries, you get a VAT refund in the airport, so you've actually been refunded. Yeah. And so, but when you come to Nigeria, you have to pay import duty. There are some allowances you are given to be able to import custom duty free, but beyond that allowance, which the custom officer should explain to you, you have to ask. Yeah. And if in doubt, everything is online. Just go to the customs website and you will see the rates for everything you are bringing in, even before you travel, so that you see what are my allowances, what are my potential liabilities. Is it really worth it for me to be carrying all this load when I may have to be, you know, paying a lot of taxes? Why don't I come to Nigeria actually and just buy it? You know, that sort of thing. So I think those things you can do.
Okay, that's amazing. And earlier you spoke about how Nigeria is in the bottom 5 when it comes to people paying their taxes and the likes. Yet we ask for accountability and the likes. What is the FIRS doing to widen this net and get more Nigerians to pay their taxes?
Okay. You see, FIRS is the tax authority of the Federation, and for corporations generally, or business names. So for example, you can decide you don't want to be incorporated, but you just register your business name. So FIRS deals with that, VAT, CIT. When it comes to personal income tax, FIRS only deals with the police, the military, and the staff of our embassies abroad. Now, for personal income tax, to widen the net for individuals, that is the responsibility of the state governments at their own level. Remember, you are residing within that state. You are enjoying some services within that state, yeah? So the state and the local government are the primary ones that will make sure they drag you into the net. But we collaborate with them under the Joint Tax Board. FIRS chair is the chair of that board. So we exchange ideas, we exchange information. If you are filing personal payee on behalf of your employees, and then you are not filing company income tax, we share information we know. But in terms of why getting more companies to pay, FIRS, obviously this is one of the things we are doing, sensitizing the public. We have loads of information. We interact with associations of various, whether professional or artisan or market women or motor parks and so on, in order to educate people. We have brought the Tax Pro Max solution to make everybody's life easier in filing. We also have now a lot of data. One of the things technology has done for us is that it gives us a lot of data. So now we can actually see what you are doing, because we have your data, your bank data, your transaction data in some places that FIRS can get hold of, because the law allows us to do that. And we use that intelligence to go after people. So right now, yes, there are people who are getting letters. They are wondering, why are we getting letters? How do they know we exist? But now that information is available. And so with all this technology available to us, we're able to now get more people to actually get in. And even when they come and file returns, that is claim turnover or profit that is not correct, we are now able to find out more quickly that it is not correct, because we can see their banking data, aggregate all of them. Your BVN, it's, you can't just hide anymore. You can hide maybe for a couple of months, a year or so, but after a while we'll drag you in, because your BVN on your personal income account, personal account, you have it on your corporate account. If you are mingling your business and your personal money, you will be, you'll be called to account, because you are dodging taxes, you are evading, and that's there are penalties, and you could be criminally prosecuted.
Okay.
So it's very important that people comply and know that now it's very easy to drag you in.
So talking about emerging sectors, I've seen, like, with the rise of startups and fintechs, you now have a lot of virtual companies, some registered, some not registered locally, but they are handling and doing transactions in Nigeria. How does your unit factor that in with its overall plan?
Yes, there have been a lot of improvements in our laws in the last 2 to 3 years that have made it clear that if you are a non-resident company, that means you are a company that doesn't have incorporation in Nigeria, but you are deriving income from Nigeria, you have to file returns. You have to pay tax on the sales you are doing in Nigeria, whether virtually from the sky or wherever. Yeah. So the laws are there now. If you don't comply, it will catch you, and then there will be penalties and interest and so on. And it's not even good for your own image. You see, the fact that you are fintech, or you are crypto, or you are a new business or whatever, you are still within the law, because you are actually still enjoying the infrastructure. If you are using data, MTN, or Airtel or whoever, they are using the Nigerian eco space to actually provide that service for you. So it's not as if you are suddenly not getting any benefit from, being in the space. Now, before you can do any business, to open a business account in Nigeria today, you must have a tax identification number. And if you don't have that and the bank opens the account for you, that bank will be sanctioned by the central bank. So it means that all those people who are operating online, it's either they are incorporated abroad, in which case the laws now recognize that as long as you are incorporated wherever, but you are selling goods or services to Nigerians, through your website, you have to pay taxes related to what you are generating to Nigeria. Now, if you are in Nigeria, and then you must have registered an entity. If you haven't, it means you are using your personal account. And again, even if you are doing your business personally, you have to declare this income to the state where you are residing. So if you decide, okay, I want to do my catering business in my name, I don't want the hassles of having a company, then that income has to be declared to your state, and you will pay your tax within the band of this 7 to 24% that I mentioned. And if you are incorporated as a company, then you will pay the tax within the band of either 0 if you are less than 25 million, or 20% if you are less than 100 million, or if you are so great that you are now 100 and above, you pay the 30%.
Final question before we wrap this up. So Nigerians there's a trust deficit. And so Nigerians have over time said, why should I pay my taxes when they will squander this money, when corruption will happen? What is the Federal Inland Revenue Service doing to rebuild and regain trust and confidence of the people in the system?
Yes, definitely FIRS has zero tolerance for corruption. So if you are a taxpayer and you have any reason to believe somebody is trying to get anything out of you, please whistleblow, shout, and FIRS will deal with it. But now you see, the issue of taxation and accountability is a question of chicken and egg. Which comes first? Nigerians want good life, they want good roads, they want good schools, they want good hospitals. You have to pay for it. We have to pay for it. Now, when you pay, then you ask for accountability. It's not the other way around. I'm not paying because there is no accountability. You have to pay first. Then you will have the moral right and the civic right, as a matter of fact, to demand accountability. And let me tell you how the accountability works. You, the citizen, you elect political office holders. Political office holders appoint chief executives of all government agencies, including FIRS. Nobody is appoints himself into any government agency. He has to be appointed either by the president or the governor, or even the local government chairman. And these people are elected by Nigerians. So that's how it works. The citizen is number one. Then the political office holder is two. Then the civil servants are three, because they have to account for the political office holders. The president or governor can sack any CEO of any agency. So that means you, the citizens, you have to first do your own duty, pay your taxes when they are due correctly, demand accountability from the political office holders that you have elected, that you want to run your affairs. And they then must demand accountability from the civil servants that they have appointed. So that's how it works.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amina, the Director, Emerging and Special Tax Department of the FIRS. It's been a pleasure having you on this segment to have this conversation. And I'm guessing Nigerians can check firs.gov.ng to know more about their taxes and also self-assessment, yeah?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Everything
you
is
so
there.
much for joining us. To our viewers at home, Entrepreneur Spotlight is next. Don't go away. We'll be having that segment with Sulami and Inem Beauty just in a bit.